All right, everybody, welcome back to another This Week at Bungie. It is officially TWAB 21 from the start of the season of The Lost. We are still here, and things are starting to shape up. 2 weeks until, or almost 2 weeks until Witch Queen drops, 2 more resets, and if you look at the lunar calendars, it actually looks like the first new moon of the year aligns with the reset right before Witch Queen starts. And there was a lore piece in the game saying that you needed to have that they were waiting for the lunar alignment for the ritual. So I'm wondering if like Bungie pulled a big brain move here and was just like, we're doing it the very last week because it lines up with the lunar new year's first new moon, which is kind of crazy. But also that only leaves a week to get your final stuff done. If like something's locked within that week, and it's like you only have this week to do it, otherwise it's just gone for you. That would kind of suck. I don't know, but I kind of rambled on a little bit too much at the beginning. Either way, it's TWAB 21. I'm back with G3 Tyrant.
Hello.
And Pistachio.
Hey.
Yes. And Bird hand. Tyrant just watched Suicide Squad for the first time last night. Quick thoughts.
11 years. I like the movie a lot, actually. I'm just mad that they killed my boy Flag and Boomerang.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Well, so, I mean, if you haven't seen the movie yet, I'd be kind of surprised. I should be the only one on the face of the earth who hasn't seen it. So.
It's like, what is a Suicide Squad movie doing in the Destiny TWAB podcast thing? Hey, it's just how it is. We don't make the rules.
Just be like that.
Exactly. But let's kick things off. This week we had some big news with Bungie joining Sony Interactive Entertainment. It's an absolutely massive deal. If you guys haven't paid attention to this, it kind of stormed over the internet. It was like $3.6 or so billion. Destiny was acquired by Bungie was acquired by Sony. However, they are still remaining independent. They have complete control for freedom over their IPs, and it's more so just a thing to work together. It looks like what I'm assuming is that they're going to be using their other media like Sony films and TV, potentially even music, to help spread the Destiny universe out, because that's what they said they wanted to do. They wanted to make TV shows or movies, more comics, what have you. So this is the perfect way to do it. Great budget. So
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like what you said, man. Like, a lot of people on the internet were freaking out and being, this is a reaction to the Activision Blizzard deal that Microsoft made. And I mean, you can kind of say yes and you can kind of say no to the situation, because the way, at least again, like you were just saying, it's more of a media deal. It's not. This has nothing to do with the games. Absolutely nothing to do with the video game, in all honesty. And can things change down the road? For sure. I mean, like, on the surface right now, it does seem like, it's a media deal and whatnot. And again, if Destiny can somehow consolidate all of its player base, which would be pretty stupid considering they just included cross progression and crossplay for them to just go exclusive on PlayStation, it would almost be an entire waste of resources and headaches that they've even put themselves through just to get this crossplay thing to work and just to get cross progression to work. So the game is going to remain multi-platform for years to come. I don't even if somehow by some miracle Destiny 3 becomes a thing, Bungie won't make the mistake in making it a console exclusive.
No, I don't see that happening, because Xbox had their top player base, you were saying, and then PC was after that. So you'd have to assume it's PlayStation and then probably Stadia. Stadia's still kicking. I don't know.
Well, I mean, PC technically is their highest number, but as far as the 3 consoles are concerned, Xbox is the highest.
Okay, so you would kill your game to take it away from 2 other platforms at this point.
Exactly. And it's just like, if you're not going to put it on Xbox, and Microsoft is also a PC company as well, you take it away from them, you pretty much just gutted your entire game. So
Yeah.
that doesn't make any sense.
See, now this now kind of makes a bit more sense as to why it got taken off of Game Pass, though. Now that I'm thinking about it.
I mean, yes, you could make the argument that they took it off of Game Pass because, going to Sony, obviously, Sony doesn't want Microsoft making money off of their IP, quote unquote.
Yeah, like I don't know if you could have if Bungie could be in both baskets kind of idea.
The only thing I have to say with that is MLB The Show is a PlayStation game. So,
that is very true.
It's also steady
we're getting
income
it
if it's
one.
on Game Pass, right? Like
that's true.
And
Crash and
and if
Spyro were all
Bungie's is independent,
Sony IPs, so they're on Game Pass now too. So actually, you know what? You make a really good point with that.
But I mean, the only difference again with Crash, Spyro, and these other characters is is now Microsoft actually like owns the IP. Like it no longer does PlayStation have any say because it belonged to the studios themselves, not Sony.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where now Bungie is, I mean, again, they're still independent. They're an independent studio. At least that's what they keep harping and keep reiterating to the public, that they are independent. So it's like, if you are as independent as you say you are, there's still no reason to me to be taking it off of Game Pass. Because, again, like, it doesn't affect PlayStation in any shape or form in the decisions you make going forward.
Yes. Okay. I hear you, yeah.
I just feel like, again, like, it's more or less like if Bungie wanted to, they could have it happen, right? But again, since Bungie wanted to entice people into their game as much as possible, so then they force idiots like us to buy their new stuff and their old stuff that we didn't buy.
I will forever continue to play Destiny. But
we know that one.
Let's move on here because it says we have a over 6,000 word TWAB ahead of us. So we have a lot to talk about. I say, welcome to the Enclave. Savathun is building an army of Hive, and they aren't an ordinary Hive. They've become Lucent Brood. How could this happen? What did the Vanguard do? They said, as you begin to unravel the mysteries and battle against the Witch Queen's brood, you'll discover the Enclave. This will be your destination for weapon crafting. Crafting a legendary weapon from scratch isn't a simple matter. Finding patterns, think weapon blueprints, collecting materials, and building your weapons is the starting point. After crafting your tool of destruction, you'll be able to unlock its full potential through combat. So beginning your quest to craft an early Witch Queen campaign, you'll be given an introductory quest that runs you through the ins and outs of crafting. In the first and second missions of the Witch Queen, free to all players, Guardians will uncover the Deep Sight ability and be introduced to the Enclave. This is where you will shape your first glaive, a brand new weapon archetype being introduced into the Witch Queen. All of the necessary materials will be provided for your first crafted weapon, but you'll also be given a short tutorial on how to find those materials for future crafting. A subset of weapons and archetypes will be craftable from the start, but more on that in the future. They said in order to shape your tools of destruction, you'll need to do a bit of research first. Patterns are your first requirement. Some will be acquired through quest completions, while others can be earned by completing various gameplay objectives. Once you've earned your desired pattern, it can be crafted at any time with the required materials. Now it's all about mixing. It says, after reaching the Enclave and crafting your first glaive, randomly rolled weapons throughout the game have a chance to drop with a new ability called Deep Sight Resonance. This will be used as you begin to target specific traits to craft. As an example, if you find a Deep Sight Resonance legendary auto rifle with the Rampage perk, you can complete an objective and extract the essence of the perk, and then craft a weapon with Rampage and another perk that increases damage. So it sounds like not every weapon per se is going to have something. You need to find these specifically, these Deep Sight Resonance weapons, and then you extract the perk into and then you get to keep it, and then you can put it on whichever weapon you want. But you're not just kind of given all of the perks right off the bat. You're going to have to kind of farm for the different perks, which I think is fine. It's going to have to be a bit of a grind. You can't just build yourself a god roll right off the bat. That's kind of
My
what it
only
sounds like
thing
to me.
is, my only thing is that I'm really worried about. No, honestly, and I was just complaining about this on Halo. This sounds like it might be challenged, like a kind of like a challenge based thing where it's like, if you want Icarus grip on your weapon, you have to get a crap ton of area kills, right? And it's just like, I don't want this crafting thing, especially to acquire these items, to be like very like down to the like cellular level of specific. Like you got to do it this way, and there's no other way of doing it, because then it will become a little monotonous and annoying. So,
Yeah, I guess
and
it's kind of like the
secondly,
dotting essences, the flavors. You got to do something
yeah,
very specific to get those ones. You don't want it to be
yeah,
like that.
and then secondly, what I'm worried about is, are these perks going to be perks, as in like when I go to this enclave or whatever it's called, is it always going to be there, or is this a consumable?
It's, as far as I know, it's always going to be there. It's not a consumable. Like once you've unlocked Rampage and extracted Rampage, you have Rampage.
Okay.
They'll probably go further into it as I'll continue to read here, but I just wanted to get some thoughts on that real quick.
For sure. Yeah.
They say, like current weapons, not every weapon pattern will be compatible with every trait, but you'll have a good list of traits to mix and match as you customize a given weapon to your desired specifications. It doesn't stop there, though. Through the Enclave, you'll also be able to kick things up a notch and enhance your traits to strengthen their flavor. It says leveling your weapon and enhancing the traits. So once a weapon is crafted, Guardians may begin to increase its level by using it in activities and by defeating enemies. This is where a bulk of your crafting playtime will be. The more you use the weapon, the faster it will unlock its potential. So that's very similar to Destiny 1, especially with like exotics or whatever. Like you had to keep using it. Maybe not the exotics, but some weapons, you had to keep using it to unlock the entire bar of stuff, and then you could choose between the different barrels and what have you. So
No, I believe it was in Destiny 1.
yeah. It said enhanced stats and traits can be unlocked when reaching higher levels, granting slight bonuses to your weapon capabilities. Their goal through the system is to give players a reason to invest in their weapons, far beyond what masterworking could offer in the past. Each weapon can now act as a long-tail pursuit as you look to make your freshly crafted weapon the best it can be. They do have some photos popped up here, which I will try to... I'll add some of these in to the... Actually, you know what, I'll just leave a link to the TWAB because there's so many photos. You guys should definitely just come and take a look at some of the photos to see what they're talking about here, because they even show like the red ring, the orange red kind of ring around the weapon as that has a deep sight resonance. It's almost like the same thing like your weapon is masterworked, but instead of the yellow box around it, it's an orange box around it. They say it can be intimidating to start making decisions on how to build your weapon, so they want to give you the ability to reshape your crafted weapons in the Enclave if you want to mix up the components of your weapon after you finish crafting them. You can switch up what barrel, mags, or traits you choose, so don't feel like you've locked down one path forever. I like that too. I like that very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he, even still, like he did. Like, it gives you the option to have one weapon that's built out multiple ways, whatever, to deal with distance issues and such. Like, yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, exactly.
So my other thing is do we have to first find the weapon, or like do we build the weapon from scratch? Like I feel like I'm a little confused in terms of like how the weapon is obtained here.
So,
But it sounds like it's a random drop.
yeah, for the actual weapon itself, I don't know. Like whether it like an auto rifle, hand cannon, what what weapon you want to choose to craft. They haven't exactly explicitly gone over that yet. They've only gone over how you acquire the traits, essentially. Only really just the perks. They've just by finding it's essentially a random legendary drop that has the box around it with the resonance, and then you bring it, I guess, to the forge and extract the essence from it to acquire the Rampage perk. But then I don't know what weapon you're then putting that into. I don't know if they have a set of weapons that can like you can only craft god rolls on these set of weapons, as I think what it is for now. I don't think it's like you can just go and make a god roll main ingredient, or a trust hand cannon if they brought the trust back, or anything like any just legendary. I don't think it's all legendaries. I think it's a set bunch right now, but they have, like, you'll be able to craft a god roll that's like better than something else that you have. Is what I believe is kind of happening.
All right.
They say mementos, with the majority of your crafting experience, will be dedicated to mixing, matching, and enhancing traits. There's also an opportunity for a bit of customization when it comes to the appearance and activity-specific trackers at launch. One weapon memento will become available for players to earn through Gambit, unlocking a Gambit-themed appearance and tracker. Rank up your weapon to max level, head back to the Enclave, and apply it to your freshly earned memento for some sweet flair. It says more of these things to come in with Trials of Osiris and Grandmaster Nightfalls, and they have more plans for mementos down the line, and they're excited to introduce new end game rarity cosmetics for players to chase as they build their new arsenal of weaponry. So basically it sounds like it's just like an added weapon skin that you can add.
Mm-hmm.
So it says exotic crafting. Legendaries aren't the only thing that you'll be able to craft. The upcoming Osteostrega exotic SMG, which is a deluxe edition only SMG Christ. For the game. This isn't the season pass. The season pass for whatever season this season is for with Witch Queen. It's not that weapon. It is very much like the No Time to Explain when Beyond Light came out, that you only get it if you pre-ordered the deluxe edition. Actually, I don't know if you have to pre-order it per se, but it's
think you had to pre-order the deluxe. I knew you had to pre-order the game in general. Is
it just a pre-order bonus, or is it the deluxe? See, now
I believe it. I'm a little confused myself. I believe when No Time to Explain was a thing, it was like pre-order the game and then you're entitled to getting the weapon. So I mean, correct me in the comments. They can correct me if I'm wrong. Again, like I played Beyond Light through Game Pass, so I wasn't entitled to any of the stuff.
I'm just checking through here because I want to make sure I'm right here for you guys. So
what?
Standard edition doesn't come with it.
Like, it's crazy that it's $100 for a gun.
It shows it in the deluxe
gun,
in the deluxe bundle.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, the pre-order bonuses. Yeah, it says with the deluxe edition. It doesn't. It says pre-order bonuses. You instantly receive the exotic Throne World Ghost Shell, the exotic emote, and a legendary emblem. But in the picture right beside it, it shows the deluxe edition with the Osteostrega. In the standard edition, it doesn't show it, and then in the deluxe edition, it's there. So like, yeah, it's definitely at least with the deluxe edition. But, so yeah, you do. So yeah, that is not the season pass weapon. You do have to have the deluxe edition for the Osteostrega exotic SMG coming up. But they said along with the Osteostrega exotic SMG and 3 class unique exotic glaives, they can also be crafted through the Enclave once you find the respective patterns, of course. So that'd be interesting. Be able to change up whatever this SMG does. It's not going to necessarily be locked. That'd be interesting. Says, while legendary weapons can be crafted from the ground up, exotic crafting is more about fine-tuning something with a defined identity. You may have the opportunity to customize things like barrels or stocks while preserving the exotic look and feel. Looking for a long-range profile for the weapon or opting to shred through your enemies up close and personal, the Enclave, you can do just that. They said that's the end of the weapon crafting preview for now. They know you'll have questions, so they said, don't worry, they aren't done with the TWAB yet, and that they'll be answering some more questions before Witch Queen. And if you also have any questions, feel free to ask them on Twitter, because I know DMG's been answering a lot of questions that people have had after this TWAB drop specifically. So definitely have more questions about the weapon crafting system, like as to what weapons are available for us to craft with. But I got a general idea, so, and I like.
I'm not pumped about the exotic crafting. Like, I just personally, I just don't want to have to deal with the fact of like I know this guy's using this exotic, so like I know where it stands, kind of thing. Like, I know where to keep myself in a PvP situation, sort of deal. But then when you start being able to adjust exotics, like it just makes it really confusing, I guess. It just, I don't know.
Sorry, yeah, it's kind of the same thing that they did with the random rolls, right? That you could get a different barrel and grip on the DMT and the Hawk Moon. So, but it's just more of like a crafting system for that now.
I mean, the only thing I guess I'll say within regard to this crafting system is like, I understand that, you know, in vanilla Destiny 2, all of our weapons were static rolls. So it was like, if you got the gun, you got the best version of it, and that was it. Like, that's what the gun was. And I feel like now with the weapon crafting, it's going to, I mean, we'll still get the chance to get random rolls for the guns that we want and whatever, but now there's I feel like now in terms of like even for trials and the higher end content for PvP, like everyone's gonna be more or less rocking the most meta thing, and you've given them the opportunity to kind of streamline that now. And I'm not saying that, you know, it was never really an issue to begin with or anything like that, because I mean it's always been there and it's always been kind of like that, but you're gonna see in the PvP ecosystem where it's like, okay, I can now everyone can have the Garble Palindrome, and if that's what's meta, then that's what everyone's going to be using. And there's no real reason to be using a whole lot of other weapons, in my opinion, especially if I can go and get the God roll now at an easier rate, I guess. So I don't know what it's going to do, but
yeah,
definitely I feel like we're going to start seeing a stagnation of weapons. Yeah.
You don't have to just pray to RNG that you're going to get the roll, right? You can at least...
Well, that one that you're going to get the gun.
Yeah, the gun that you want plus the roll that you want, right? At least you can work towards what you want now, so... But yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's a little like, you know, give or take here. Like, you can't really like be upset with the crafting system in any shape or form, but you can't really be. I wouldn't really be like all in per se, because it's really gonna mess with like in terms of weapon ecosystems and what is going to be seen on the usage rate scale. Like, it'll be interesting to say the least.
Yep, I fully agree. Let's move on here, though. It says tuning up and tuning down, tuning all around. Crafting is going to introduce an entirely new way to invest in a given weapon. When hunting for your new favorites, it's not just about the looks, but about the feels. Weapon featured lead Chris Proctor is on deck to talk us through some weapon changes, perks, and archetypes in the Witch Queen. There's a lot to cover, so let's go over this. Give me one second.
Very professional.
I had to take a sip of water. I could feel like something in my throat there for a sec. Sorry. You know, stay hydrated.
Indeed.
It says, if you're new to the Destiny sandbox and aren't too deep into the terminology and the know-how, this can be a lot to process at first glance, and they know that a few of their sandbox-minded community members will help break this down in a YouTube video and a write-up, and there's no shame in skimming this. So the sandbox is about feel, and you'll be getting your hands on these changes when the Witch Queen launches. If you're brave enough to take on the challenges of reading this in full, take it slow, grab some water, and a little snack too. See, they even say to grab some water. Absolutely. You know, I need to take another sip just for that. Everyone grab a sip.
Oh, Jesus.
All right. let's get to it. From Pinnacle to Pursuit weapons. When Pinnacle weapons were introduced, they were tuned and presented as being the best in-class weapons to act as rewards for players dedicated to a particular activity. They excited and motivated players, but they were expensive to build for legendary weapons and had some undesirable side effects, such as PvP Pinnacle weapons becoming mandatory in PvE, Recluse, Mountaintop. I miss them. Or becoming increasingly incredibly unpleasant to play against, or so strong that no other weapon in the class could compete in PvP. Mountaintop, not forgotten.
Not forgotten.
It literally mentions
Jesus.
not forgotten right there. Yeah. So
That gun was a nightmare.
when they moved away from Pinnacle weapons, they didn't go into much detail, so they'd like to take a moment to clarify the move and also introduce the Pursuit weapons for next season. The intent, as of Season 12, is that a Pursuit weapon should be a solid weapon, roughly 70% of a god roll in its archetype, with perk options that work both well in PvP and PvE, that which can be reliably obtained without a huge grind. This should act as a good starter weapon for both PvE and PvE, while leaving space for weapons from Pinnacle activities like Trials, Raids, and Nightfalls to exceed this potential. We generally ship a similar weapon with higher potential in the same season. They said, Kylo, I'm trying to talk here. Have some respect. Alright? That's my cat. They say here, they note the Salvager Salvo basically ignores this guideline, and they really wanted to put chain reaction on special ammo weapon, but they don't currently see a reason to touch it. Chain reaction is going to be rare on special weapons, though. They wanted to pop that in there. I mean, usually you see it on a heavy weapon anyways, but it's a great perk, so I love Salvager Salvo.
Yeah, I think it's a good grenade launcher.
Say a quick breakdown of how each Pursuit weapon is going to work in Season 12 compares to the random rolled weapons currently in the game. So the Adored is a good sniper rifle, but a better sniper rifles have shipped alongside it or since. The Salvager Salvo Breach Grenade Launcher is a great room clearing weapon, but does not have the utility of blinding grenades or auto-loading holster, so the legendary grenade launchers such as Truth Teller or Ignition Code often take its place in the harder content. Absolutely true. Getting a Truth Teller with blinding or spike grenades for the option with auto-loading holster is absolutely beautiful for harder content. So they say the Null Composure. Sorry, you want to say something there?
No, I don't have anything to say.
Oh,
No.
okay. Null Composure is an excellent fusion rifle, and even more so in the season after it shipped, and brought it back with Reservoir Burst. But Plug 1 and the Glacioclasm can also get Reservoir Burst, and the Cartesian Coordinate has a better option for DPS. Absolutely, the Cartesian Coordinate is still the one I use.
A beast.
You said butt plug.
What?
What?
Yeah, Reservoir Burst perk, but Plug 1. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man.
Get his ha-has out here. Alright, let's move on here. The Ascendant C rocket launcher brought back the explosive light perk, but Hothead can also get this and has other good perk options. With that, they said they want to look at the Reckless Endangerment Pursuit Shotgun. This weapon is coming in the Season 16 and introduces the new Steady Hand perks for a massive handling boost after a kill, plus Snapshot.
Oh, Jesus.
There are several other shotguns in the release with more sought after PvP and PvE perks though. So they said here, origin traits. They've been talking about the difficulty of making weapons different weapons of the same type feel unique for years at this point, and in the Witch Queen we're doing something about it. Every weapon that's new or returning in the Witch Queen will have an origin trait determined by its source in a third trait column. Introducing an all-new legendary weapons and returning Trials, Iron Banner, and Nightfall weapons, the origin trait will only appear on new drops of weapons. They won't be retroactively added to old drops. So that's like the, like Alacrity, maybe even Celerity or whatever on some of them. I'd imagine some of these extra perks that you just don't necessarily want. Hi, come here. Come here. What's going on? You were meowing up a storm. I am trying to talk here. All right.
This is gonna be a lot of editing.
Right. It says, oh my goodness. These traits vary in effect, but the guideline is that they either have a high uptime and a medium power effects or a low uptime and high power. There are 14 origin traits total shipping with the Witch Queen and Season 16, and they expect to ship 3 new ones each season after Season 16. So, for example, 1 for Season 17, 1 for the raid or dungeon, and 1 for the seasonal event that they have for each event. When they refresh old weapons from a given source, for example, an existing raid or old pool seasonal weapons, they may create a new origin trait at the same time. They said, here are some examples. So Trials of Osiris has Alacrity, Nightfall's Stunning Recovery. Alacrity, it says, is that already in the game? Or is that a new one?
I've never heard that perk. I haven't played in a
Yeah,
while.
so I think that might be a new one. So it says that you gain increased reload stability, aim assist, and range when you are the last living member of your fire team or running solo. Plus 20 reload, plus 20 stability, plus 10 aim assist, plus 10 range. Solo includes solo lost sectors and rumble as well. Interesting.
So it's a better celerity?
Yeah, it sounds like it's a better celerity, it sounds like. Yeah. Nightfall Strikes is getting Stunning Recovery. Stunning a champion partially refills your magazine, triggers health regeneration, and improves recovery for a short duration. Grants 60 health instantly and plus 40 recovery for 3 seconds. That's amazing. So now, like, you'll actually want to use your Nightfall weapons in a Nightfall because of stuff like this. So I like that. Crucible Weapons, we're going to get 1 Quiet Moment. Grants increased reload speed when out of combat, plus 40 reload stat when out of combat, or haven't dealt damage or received damage in 4 seconds. Strikes get Vanguard's Vindication. Final blows with this weapon grant a small amount of health. Small equals 7 health. Okay, that's a very small amount of health. So, at any time it makes sense due to the source activity, a weapon will have multiple origin traits. For example, Nightfall weapons can select between Nightfall and Vanguard traits. Trials weapons can select between Trials and Crucible traits, and Pursuit weapons can select between Gambit, Vanguard, and Crucible traits, since it can be acquired from any of those activities. That's very interesting. So that Pursuit weapon there, the shotgun, can you can get any of these extended ones on. You can get the Crucible, the Strike, or the Gambit one on it. That's pretty cool. They actually didn't mention one here for Gambit, so I'm guessing it might either be later or when they do talk about the Gambit rework. So
Yeah, it sucks.
Wow. Weapon Foundries. There is just a bunch of dialogue here from lore. And then it says, in Season 16, we're replacing the old world loot pool with 12 new weapons in the style of Destiny 2 Year 1 Foundry sets. 3 weapons from each of the Suros, Almalon, Hake, and Viced Foundries, plus 1 Foundry weapon for each Vanguard, Gambit, and Crucible. It says each weapon will come with a Foundry origin trait themed around the Foundry's personality. So these Suros weapons, so this isn't just like for like one Suros weapon, this is for like Suros weapons in general, will have Suros synergy. Reloading grants this weapon bonus handling and reduces incoming flinch for a short time. Plus 40 handling and 20% flinch resistance for 6 seconds after reloading. That's
Really strong.
Yeah, like does that also work with the regime? We get the health back too, plus the health resistance, plus the handling. Like hello. The Hake, breach armament. This weapon deals increased damage against vehicles, turrets, barricades, and stasis crystals. Turrets includes the stasis turret, and it's plus 15% to vehicles and 30% to structures and turrets. The Almalon weapons will get Almalon fluid dynamics. This weapon has increased reload speed and stability for the top half of the magazine. Stability is max plus 20, reload is max plus 30, and reduces as the magazine gets lower. So that's not too bad either. And Viced gets Viced Stinger, chance on damage to partially refill this weapon's magazine. So you could just keep shooting for days if, I don't know, it doesn't say what the chance is, it doesn't give us percentage, but that's kind of interesting. It said, in addition to the Foundry origin trait, each weapon Foundry's weapon perk pool will lean into that Foundry's identity for big damage for Hake, consistency for Suros, ability tie-ins, and weird stuff for Almalon, and never stop firing for the Viced. So that's a pretty big change. They're adding a lot of changes to these weapons. Like, things are going to feel very different come Witch Queen, it seems. So,
I mean, it sounds like they're kind of taking like some ideas from Borderlands, where it's like dependent on the company that makes the weapon. It has its own variation, so it's like you can actually say to yourself, "Yo, like I only want to use Suros weapons, or I really like Amalon weapons." So you just, I don't know. I think they're trying to open up a wider experience, maybe even like a store rotation where like Amalon characters might show up and sell you weapons and stuff like that for the week or whatever the case may be. But I see a lot of potential with that.
yeah, I kind of like that.
I'm here for it.
I'm just worried about, I don't know, it being too much. Like, I don't know, like with all the perks and then this Foundry stuff and whatnot, like it's just gonna compound to
Yeah, big damage Hake. Can I craft a
making
god roll
wild
Hake with bonus
things.
damage too? Like, how bonus damage are we talking? Yeah. They say Foundry weapons that drop from a source aside from the world pool can switch between Foundry traits and that source's trait. This doesn't imply that Foundry weapons will be common outside of the world pool. For example, a roll on the new Gambit Hake High Impact Auto Rifle might look like this. You might get corkscrew rifling or polygonal rifling, armor piercing rounds or flared well, perpetual motion, focus fire, invader tracker, the Gambit origin trait, or the Hake breach armament, the Hake origin trait, and then the kill tracker, which they're going to talk on more below, plus a range masterwork. So you basically saying that you got options here.
Mm-hmm.
We know we haven't brought back all your favorite Foundry weapon types, but don't worry, you can expect to see more weapon Foundries receiving new additions each season for the year following the Witch Queen, and some fun surprises thrown in later in the year. They say the rest of this section will be more of a patch notes preview feel, lots of bullets, not a lot of pictures, so you still got that water in a snack. So it says kill trackers were once the reason to masterwork a weapon, but they now see no reason to gate these behind masterworking. They'll be present by default on all weapons that shipped in Forsaken, and later exotic weapons prior to Forsaken will be updated at a later release. This means that masterworking should no longer be seen as mandatory. They expect the plus 10 to a weapon stat, or a plus 10 to the primary stat, plus 3 to the other stat for adepts, to only matter to dedicated PvP players. With no specific plans for changes coming to Masterworks at this time, they will revisit it later. Note that they did discuss gating the origin trait behind Masterwork, but ultimately this would have achieved the goal of weapon differentiation for non-Masterwork items, so they decided not to. So, that's okay. I mean, like, masterworking isn't completely useless, but like, there's also, you don't really need to do it. So you can use those resources elsewhere, I suppose.
I mean, masterworking always felt like a PvP thing. Well, I mean, when you masterwork a weapon in PvE, you just want it to make orbs, right? So
Yeah,
now that there's a
Orbs
mod
are
that's
nice.
going to do that for you, masterworking is not necessarily, oh my god, I have to do it.
yeah. It says, following in the armor team's footsteps, weapon mods for legendary weapons are now free and instant to insert. Excellent. They believe that many pain points around special weapons in Crucible are exaggerated by how easy it is to acquire special ammo. While they've touched on this in the past, they're making it a further adjustment now. Players now only drop 1 special ammo on death or equivalent, no matter how much they were carrying, as long as they weren't completely empty. The maximum you can pick up off a special brick is 1 for a shotgun, fusion rifle, or a sniper, or equivalent for any other weapons. Scavenger mods add to this as normal, but they'll be evaluating their place in Crucible in the future. Players quickly found another way to execute the quick swap glitch, so they've fixed another animation cancel. Now they're moving on to Archetypes. The Season 15 fusion rifle rework had a lot of moving parts. Rapid fire, precision, adaptive fusions came out of this different, but all quite strong. But the high impact fusions are hurting. They've definitely seen all fusion rifle subfamilies occupy different roles and want to maintain the large differences in the charge time to keep these distinct for now. So they're nudging damage up to make it easier for these to land kills at range in PvP, and they're bumping the PvE damage scaler. That said, they're keeping an eye on how much it'll do and may adjust it from time to time down a smidgen in a future release. So now the high impact fusion rifle damage per bolt went up from 62 to 64. Doesn't seem like a lot, but does allow for more rolls to cross bolts to kill past the threshold, it says. It says increased high impact fusion rifle PvE damage bonus went from 15 to 20%.
Oh, that's a big buff. But the PvP buff is mostly just to create more consistency.
Yeah. I don't really use them in PvE. I can't not use my Cartesian, but I do have some good high impact ones with some good rolls, so I am definitely interested to see how those kind of turn out.
Mm-hmm.
They like that the crowd control capabilities of breach grenade launchers in PvE has taken off, but as it stands there isn't a meaningful trade-off for the added utility that blinding or concussion grenades gives you, and it's unreasonable that a way to really annoy other players in PvP can also one-shot them. Agreed. So they reduced blinding and concussion grenade damage by 25%.
That's a balance change and a half. Thank you.
Yeah. The rocket launcher subfamilies have... Sorry, again, my cat is just... He's never doing stuff like this, and he's just going nuts right now.
Giving that cat an official though.
Yeah, I know. You need to calm down, Kylo. Yeah, look at you. Sorry. The rocket launcher subfamilies have lacked meaningful differences for a while now, and their free tracking precisions are flat out better. So we're pushing them further apart by adjusting damage. They may take a deeper look at rocket launchers later. So for now, damage adjustments by subfamily. Precision rocket launchers are damage has been adjusted by 0.95, high impacts by 1, adaptive by 1.05, and aggressive by 1.05. I honestly don't know what the numbers mean for the rockets per se.
Yeah, we'll have to see that at a later date.
Yeah. They took a big swing at sniper aim assist based on zoom and beyond light, and having seen this play out, they are revisiting the tuning on a zoom-based AA scaling. Low zoom snipers got more of an aim assist reduction than they needed, and high zoom snipers are getting some pretty silly headshots right now. So they reduced the variance in the AA scaling between low 35 zoom and high zoom 60 zoom snipers. The cone angle scaler increased by 25% on a low zoom, and it reduced by 9% on a high zoom. So the pulse rifles take slightly too long to kill red bar enemies in PvE, so they're buffing their damage versus miners by 10%. If you want an exotic pulse rifle to feel better, keep reading. Okay, so that is absolutely needed. Pulse rifles just didn't feel like they did anything.
We were just complaining about the Battler BXR and how crap it feels. So thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna still have to test that thing out after, because It feels just so much worse than every other pulse rifle, even if every other pulse rifle wasn't feeling great.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So they say here exotic weapons. So exotic primary weapons and trace rifles aren't sufficiently stronger than legendaries for them to be worth bringing into harder PvE content, particularly against miners. Note this change applies to all exotics that use primary ammo and includes most secondary effects, example, perk triggered explosions. Increased damage versus miners in PvE by 40%.
Lord.
That's everything that uses all exotics that use primary ammo. So
I mean, like, No Time to Explain wasn't too bad in PvE, and Outbreak Perfected was like my favorite out of all the pulse
Outbreak is about to get so much better now.
Yeah, so I'm probably gonna go back and main it.
I might have to bring it back out with all the little symbiote bots that are gonna pop out of that for the extra damage, plus the 10% damage, plus this. We're doing 50% more damage now. Oh my goodness, that's wonderful.
That gun is gonna shred.
The Chaperone is a terror in PvP, particularly with the nerf to pellet shotguns and the reduced frequency of grenade and melee abilities. It outperforms weapons that ought to be good counters for it. Example, sidearms and submachine guns. So they reduced the passive range buff from 2 meters to 0.5 meters.
Oh my.
Yeah, that's pretty drastic.
That's really low.
Is it going to be any better than any other slug shotgun in the game?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Duality is in a similar place to the Chaperone, but it's not. The energy isn't quite as rangy. On the other hand, its exotic trait shift with the constraint that it would wipe on reload, making it harder to chain. Having seen it in action for a while, they don't think that limitation needs to be there. So they reduced passive range buff in slug mode, example when aiming down sights, from 1.25 meters to 0.5 meters. Pellet mode is unaffected. And the on black wings damage buff no longer clears on reload. So duality also got clipped, but the black wings damage buff at least stays with you. So
I mean, but you're not really proccing black wings in PvP like that. So, and they're making it harder to get ammo with the shotgun. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. Like,
it sounds like they just clipped shotguns and energy, a lot of energy. Or secondary weapons in general. It sounds like they're really making it more of a primary weapon fight, and it's, if you're going to use that energy, you really need to use it a bit more wisely now.
Like, don't get me wrong, like, I'm not against the Chaperone nerfs, but I don't know if it was necessarily the range was the issue. I think it was more of the aim assist that was like kind of wild.
Aim assist weapon, wild, yeah. So that's interesting.
I'd rather them lessen the aim assist, make it harder to land shots. Because again, like, Chaperone, I still think is going to be effective in its effective range. I still think it's going to be king, but that range nerf is very big.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm playing Destiny here, not COD. I want to be able to throw my nades like a lunatic, fucking launch little meteors across the map at people, fucking...
No, I'm happy
you know? Nah. Like... I want to use my abilities, and I want to use the special weapons. Like,
I hear ya.
Yo. Like, man, if you want to make a fucking whatever, a bare bones Crucible like game type, go for it. But like, yo, I want to throw my nades.
Play Mayhem.
Yep, Mayhem.
Mayhem's not always there.
It's true. Bring Mayhem back as a full-time playlist. You heard it here, Bungie. Thank you. This says, the Terba is extremely strong as it is, but it currently demands complete commitment with no weapon switching. This constraint has been a bit harsher than it needs to be, so they're loosening it without removing it entirely. Also, while the duration extension when damaging players did actually function in PvP, it was so subtle that players are reporting that it was bugged, so they bumped it up. So now it reduces the perk progress by half instead of clearing it on weapon stow, and increased Ravenous Beast duration increase for the damaging a player slightly. So it lasts, your Terba buff lasts longer, and you can get it faster. So
I always felt like Turbo was good, so alright.
Well, just got better. The Ruinous Effigy has been overdue for a look at since its Beyond Light nerf, so they're rolling that back. Note that the other part of this nerf was the airborne standard melee attack, and this hasn't been touched. It says increase the damage dealt by guarding with the transmutation sphere by 66% and 30% against other players. Note that the transmutation sphere multi-kill now counts for orb generation armor mods. Previously, kills with the beam would trigger this. Okay. Yeah, I haven't touched that thing since it came out, and I was having so much fun turning enemies into balls and smashing them around, and then it just became super weak. So
I don't
like
have
that.
it.
Well, that sounds like something we need to get you. It says the Lumina's stats just don't compare with other 140 RPM adaptive hand cannons, and its usage reflects that. So they're updating it alongside some of the legendary hand cannons so that it also used to be a 150. It says they increased the range stat from 44 to 59. They increased the base stability from 46 to 56.
Wow.
Sorry, Thorn fans. Thorn is already strong and popular, and a similar buff would turn it into a monster in PvP.
Facts.
Yes. So they say no bueno on the Thorn, just for the Lumina.
No,
and some other
I think Lumina
legendaries.
needs some love for sure.
So this is some legendary hand cannons are also getting this. So
Listen, I just need y'all to buff 180s. Like that's all I need in life.
the Aegir's Scepter initial implementation used super regeneration scalars, which had a very weird effect in activities. So that also had scalars. So they rebuilt it to turn off regeneration while active, and have implemented a slower drain using a different method. So they fixed being able to activate or continue using empowered mode while suppressed or stasis encased. They rebuilt the perk so that used to modify super recharge rate, it now freezes super recharge rate and deducts super directly, fixing several issues with activities that change charge rate and outliers recharge rate based on intellect stat. Super should now drain more slowly while empowered. Alright. That's kind of crazy that you can freeze a super recharge and deduct super directly. That's pretty crazy. I already like this thing, so I have a whole stasis build based around it, so I'm all for that, and especially that the super drains more slowly while empowered. I'm all for that. So the Dead Man's Tail feels good to use on both mouse and keyboard and controller now, and they don't want to go back to it feeling unreliable, but it's far too good at spamming hipfire shots at long range as it stands. So they reduced the catalyst hipfire rate of fire. Sorry, I'm reading this wrong. They reduced the catalyst hipfire rate of fire from 150 to 130. So
that's not that bad.
Not too bad. You just won't be able to ping those shots across as quick. But I honestly think that's needed because it was pretty crazy. But that's also like what the catalyst did. So, yeah. The Lorentz Driver and Arbalist remain fairly hard to counter in PvP. One common complaint is how easily they can shoot through flinch. They'll be keeping an eye on this as they move forward and have another change planned if needed. So they increased the flinch received when using Lorentz and Arbalist.
That was an absolutely necessary thing to happen.
Absolutely. It was way too easy between the aim assist on the Arbalist. And that, like, it was just it's like you were shooting them and nothing would happen. They could still dink you.
Then when you see a guy with Lorentz Driver and you're playing Trials, it's the most terrifying feeling ever.
Yeah, you know you're about to get bopped and your teammates are about to get bopped, and it's pain.
Yeah.
It says the Forerunners. You got something to say there, Stash?
Yeah, just yeah, like it would force you into a position where it's like, all right, we don't want to stand together, but then like even if you stood together, the amount of like even team firing the dude, like he would still be able to get that shot off just because.
Yeah, it was that weapon was just toxic. I'm sorry, like I hated it.
The Forerunner's ammo economy was fairly conservative when it first shipped at the 30th anniversary, but having seen how it's used in PvP, they believe it would benefit from gaining a little bit more ammo per special brick. So they increased the ammo picked up from a special ammo brick from 2 to 3, and from 4 to 5 with the scavenger mod. Alright, legendary weapons. Several legendary weapons have out-of-brand stats, either to their benefit, detriment, or a bit of both. When infusion caps were still around, this was okay because they'd cycle out eventually, but now that the weapons remain viable in all activities indefinitely, and the solution is to adjust outliers to be in band. It says, as mentioned in the February 2021 state of the game. It says hand cannons. The band for legendary 140 RPM hand cannon assist ends at 84, and this extreme should be for a hand cannon from a pinnacle activity like a raid or trials. But when 150s were converted to 140s, many of their stats were either too low or too high. So they're adjusting the stats of these to be within the standard ranges, up or down, as follows. An overall buff in most cases. So a Dire Promise now has +4 range, +3 stability, and -4 aim assist. The Waking Vigil has +6 range, +5 stability, and -3 aim assist. The Jack Queen King 3 has +3 range, +3 stability, and -8 aim assist.
Isn't that gun sunset?
It might be brought back. I don't know.
Alright.
And the spare rations, it might just be showing you them from the RPMs, I guess. But the spare ration gets +4 range, +4 stability, and -9 aim assist. It says the Fellwinter's Lie intrinsic perk makes it far too consistent and lethal compared to similar shotguns, and it's had plenty of time to shine. So they're adding a +15% spread angle. Okay.
Wow. Wow. That was a nerf that needed to happen, I guess.
I guess so, yeah.
If there's one thing I want out of a weapon, is for it to be consistent. I'm sorry, but like, that's just a really weird thing to say.
I don't know, Fellwinter's Lie is kind of strong, so I'm not completely against the nerf. I mean, its perk pool is already really good, so giving it a little bit of a weakness isn't such a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree. It says most of the iClose SMG's stats are widely out of band for an aggressive SMG, but it does suffer from having a low zoom compared to other popular options. So +1 zoom, -5 range, -7 stability, -7 handling, and -5 aim assist. Wow. I don't think that's necessary. I haven't really used my iClose SMG since he already nerfed the Warmind cells, so I don't know if that was
why kick
necessary.
it while it's down? Jesus.
Yeah, like
Here's more zoom and less range. All right,
like
thanks. I can see further, but I can't hit them.
yeah, like,
It was a pretty dumb nerf, but okay.
super weird. They say typically they don't adjust base stats on specific weapons at all post ship, and they don't intend to do this regularly. Moving on to perks. They want players to be able to choose to build into hip firing more easily, so they're adjusting the hip fire grip perk to support this. Now increased damage fall off start and end distances by 20%, except on shotguns, snipers, and fusion rifles. Adagio, however you say this perk's name.
Jesus.
I've never known how to say it, like Adagio.
Hey, you go putting too many vowels in there.
Yeah, like Adagio. I'm not sure what they want from me. It often felt like it changed a weapon's subfamily to the lowest rate of fire, but worse, particularly when comparing to damage fall off. So they increased the duration from 5 to 7 seconds. They increased the damage bonus, except on bows and fusion rifles, from 25% to 30%. They also added a +10 range stat, and added a timer to the buff text to make it easier to tell them when it's going to expire. The dual loader is okay on paper, but in practice needed that the reload is pretty painful, so they reduced the reload stat penalty from 50 to 35, from -50 to -35. So reload's a bit faster, and it does 2 at the time. Maybe I won't instantly delete my rolls with them now. I don't know. Danger Zone felt pretty risky to use in some cases, resulting in a lot of self-damage. So they reduced self-damage scalars for grenade launchers combined with other scalars. This ends up reducing self-damage from 1.25% to 0.75%. Or times, sorry. Not percent, times. It says Tap the Trigger is the meta-breaking perk on a particular fusion rifle when stacked with other elements of this role. It makes fusion rifles much too stable, so much that they had to stop putting it on fusion rifles. And then Squidface, aka Zur, sold it a few times, and then with this change they firmly believe it is a strong perk without being overpowered, so it's likely to appear on future fusion rifles. They did try to reduce the stability from 40 to 20 in a playtest, but it wasn't perceptible. So on fusion rifles only, for Tap the Trigger, they reduced stability from 40 to 10. They changed the max recoil angle scale from 0.5 to 0.875. And they changed the error angle scale from 0.9 to 0.975. And it's unchanged on all the other weapons. So they're really raining down on these fusion rifles and shotguns.
Yeah, I mean, main ingredient has been causing quite a tear. So
under pressure,
I can see
tap the
why
trigger.
they did what they did. Yeah, like
I've had it for a long time, and she is deadly.
It's clutched us some trials wins back in the day. So
yeah. It said Head Seeker didn't work as intended on an aggressive burst pulse rifle, and this is because the buff's duration was too short. Sacred Providence is the only viable pulse rifle that benefits from this in Season 16. Although there is such a pulse in the season, it doesn't roll with Head Seeker, but they expect to see more of this in the future seasons. So they extended the buff duration of Head Seeker from 0.17 to 0.3 seconds. Not much of a change. I still don't really use Head Seeker at all.
I won't use it. Yeah, it's a waste of time to me.
So they want to talk about Eager Edge. It's fun to use, but can
my controller died. With all these changes that they're making to the fusion rifles or whatnot, there, like once you get rid of that perk, the artifact perk or mod, I guess, it like fusion rifles are gonna like revert back to like where they were in usage kind of thing, and then fucking putting limitations on it. I don't know. I feel like you're just gonna make them irrelevant.
I think with these nerfs that are coming right now, it's more or less like a PvP thing. I haven't heard anything drastically scary in terms of PvE nerfs for the fusion rifles. In all honesty, I think they're gonna be just fine. I think the only real nerf that the fusion rifles are getting is the artifact mod is leaving. That's it.
Yeah, and they're just extra strong right now. They'll just tone it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And whatever's going to take its place next season. Probably the glaive or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
But for PvP, it definitely sounds like the fusions and shotguns are getting a real hard kick to the head.
Yeah, and I mean rightfully so, because they've been dominant for quite. I won't know
between them and snipers. That's it. That's all that I see. I don't even see grenade launchers as much, and I'm not saying I want to see more grenade launchers, but like it'd be nice to see. I guess more SMGs, sidearms. Hell, I'd say bow, but that Le Monarch gives me nightmares now. So
I was about to say, yeah, we don't want to see anymore. Bonjour, vive la résistance.
Exactly. They want to talk about Eager Edge. They say it's fun to use and can do some mind-blowing, environmental breaking things, but they need to tune it a little bit without removing the fun factor. So they have a fresh raid and other fun content coming with the Witch Queen and want to ensure that they retain the challenge behind the upcoming rewards. Breaking out of the map can be fun indeed, but can easily remove the prestige and value of a given item or experience. So they've reduced the lunge distance benefit while airborne by 25%, and it now caps players to an airborne velocity to a fairly high value while active. So you can still yeet yourself around with the Eager's Edge perk, which is the new perk that everyone's using to skip across everything, but it's just slightly reduced a little bit. So they don't want you guys breaking the raid for World's First, even though I'm sure somebody will still manage to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
They said here occasionally they'll shelve perks, but it's not because they're not working. Because they're not working for some reason. Either they're too strong or they are too weak, and this means that they won't put them on weapons in the future unless they change the perk. In many cases, they'd rather put some design work into a new perk than an old one's. But there's a whole perks section here, so here are the perks being shelved right now. Bottomless Grief and Celerity. Both were attempts to inject some uniqueness into Trials of Osiris and Nightfall weapons, but they're now doing that with origin traits. So, Underdog is gone. Get that dog water out of here.
Yeah, seriously.
Shield Disorient. I never use it anyways. Good.
I didn't even know what it did.
After you broke a shield, it made them more susceptible to your kinetic weapon. So basically, if you're only using the Arbalist and that right now, then you could really crank some people. Because you just break a shield with that and then switch to the Arbalist plus the fusion rifle bonus and everything that it's all got right now. It's chunk. But still, nonetheless. An Air Assault. Though that may get a redesign in the future. I don't even know what Air Assault is. Never even heard of it.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, what does that come on? I've never even heard of that perk. I'm so confused. I have to look that up.
Yeah, seriously, I didn't even know it was a perk.
Yeah. It says the near future. In season 17, this is the season after the Witch Queen launches. So we'll have season of the Redacted. Don't know what it is yet with the Witch Queen. And then after it's like 3 to 4 month cycle, we'll have season 17. So at season 17, we'll have a set of PvP focused weapon changes, including new ways for players to build for flinch resistance, balance tuning for primary weapons, looking at pulse rifles, lightweights in particular, special weapon tuning, snapshot feels mandatory on sniper rifles in PvP, and other balance changes, another PvP special ammo economy change if needed, adjusting how zoom outliers, both low and high, affect the performance of a subset of weapons. Example, the scope column shouldn't be the most important thing on a weapon. This could take various forms, but the intent is to bring both high and low outliers towards the average, to the overall benefit of the weapon archetype. And they're also adjusting several much requested exotics along with legendary perks. That was a lot. That was a lot of changes.
Which again isn't coming until like a season later.
Yeah, those other few changes that they didn't really dive much into for season 17.
Yeah.
We already knew that was going to be a PvP one because they're actually going to add or bring back a map for that one. So there's something.
Yeah. I'll hold my. I won't hold my breath.
Yeah.
I'm tired of being disappointed.
I think the PvP community is with you on that one. They say it's the year of the tiger, so they've covered what's coming up in Destiny with the Witch Queen in season 16 and beyond, and what's going on right now is they're celebrating the Lunar New Year. You may have noticed there are some new Lunar New Year items available this week in the Eververse. There's a ghost, there is a emote, a sparrow, as well as a ship. They will be available through the Tuesday reset on February 8th, so snag them if they've caught your eye. And they also have a few items available for the last year with Bright Dust if you'd like to join them in the celebration. They say prepare to launch a worm. If you've seen the new exotic launcher where you shoot the worm larva, hilarious. They said the TWAB has been long, but the train hasn't stopped yet. So they wanted to report pre-launch downtime and preload time to prepare for the Witch Queen on February 22nd. Destiny 2022 Destiny 2 will undergo scheduled downtime from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on February 21st to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, February 22nd. They basically saying that's 14 hours of downtime. So you can use some sleep, get some food, get everything you need to do before diving into the Witch Queen, as well as be prepared for queues. This is not the first rodeo that it's going to be you're going to be launched into a queue. If you're extremely lucky, you'll get right into the game, but most of the time you will be put into a queue. Was over a million pre-orders already for the Witch Queen, so just take that into consideration, knowing that there's potentially 1 million people that are going to be ready to play this sucker at launch. So I'm not like, that's to say like all 1 million of them are going to be ready to go at launch and not working or doing whatever have you, but you know what I mean, that's still a lot of people, you know what I'm saying?
I always wait like several hours after the downtime, only because I don't want to sit and wait and stare at the queue all day.
Oh, I sit there and I put something on the laptop, watch some videos, and just sit in that queue.
Yeah. Like, either I'm playing my cell phone games, or I just turned it on and walk away from the TV, take a shower, do some family stuff, and then come back to see if it's ready.
Yeah.
So
preload time for the Witch Queen is planned to become available on all platforms beginning at 9 p.m. PST on February 21st. So.
Great. Yeah.
So that's like 2 hours after it goes down for maintenance. So you can actually start preloading it pretty early, just in case you need that extra internet time. There you go. It says Shattered Realm. With the end of the season approaching, the Shattered Realm seasonal activity has been updated to a daily rotation from a weekly rotation. Players who wish to complete triumphs, seasonal challenges, or seals associated with the Shattered Realms should make sure to do so prior to its removal with the launch of Witch Queen on February 22nd. Grandmaster Nightfall catch-up node clarifications. This past week, the Next Week in Destiny login incorrectly posted a message indicating that Grandmaster Nightfall catch-up node had become active. The Grandmaster Nightfall catch-up node has been live and is currently available for players who completed the Conqueror seal to be able to gild their seal. Year 4 content vaulting. With the launch of Witch Queen, certain activities, quests, destinations, and items from seasons 12 to 15 in the Forsaken will become unavailable to access. So the full list of the vaulted and depreciated content will be here in these guides. This is in the Destiny content vault guide and the items being depreciated at the start of year 5. We've already gone over them, but I will also leave a link to those in the description, so go check that out. It says the following weapons will be released. Actually, we went over this I believe last time, but we'll just go over them real quick. The following weapons are leaving the ritual pools. So the Trials is losing Igneous Hammer and Sola's Scar. The Nightfall is losing the Swarm, Shadow Price, the Uzume RR4, and the Hung Jury SR4. And Iron Banner is losing the Multimax CCX, the Time Worn Spire, the Guiding Sight, and the Steady Hand. Players should make sure to claim all the engrams and other rewards that they have before the new season begins. Any rewards not claimed from the ritual vendors, Zavala, Shax, Drifter, and Saint 14, will be removed at the end of the season. For more known issues, go to the help forum. And we've made it to the movies of the week, which are always fantastic. Then we have the art of the week, always fantastic. Like I said, the artists in the community are just absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, it says you've made it here once again. The mega TWAB has landed and we've read every word of it. Yes I have. I need some more water. Well, maybe almost every word. I definitely skipped some parts. Between now and launch, they have a few more great things to cover in the TWABs, but they aren't expecting anything as long as this one. So in the next few weeks, it will be your opportunity to rest up before the launch of their expansion, get some sleep, eat well, maybe soak in some sunlight if the weather permits. It is snowing like crazy where I am.
What,
so
sun?
That's a no bueno. Yeah. The snow has blocked out the sun.
Then we shall fight in the shade.
Freeze in the shade. It says, on a final somber note, before they go, they'd like to take a moment to honor one of their moderators who received tragic news over the weekend that Seraphim Crypto, one of their German community volunteers, has passed away. It's terrible to hear.
That sucks.
Words are incredibly difficult to find here. Seraphim has been among the Destiny community since the start, pitching in to help anyone who needed an assist or simply sitting back and relaxing amongst the forums to pass the time. We met him in person in his own home turf visiting Germany for Gamescom, and even had him to come out to Seattle to help us with the community summit. Every exchange was positive, inspiring, and heartfelt. His love for the community was immeasurable, and you could tell with every exchange how wonderful, unique, and passionate he was. How much of an inspiration he could be, not only to them at Bungie, but to players of and around the world and their community. So they want to say thank you for everything, Seraphim. You are loved, you are missed. and we hope you are able to rest well. We are sending love to your family. Well, that's a bit of a
Condolences to
bitter
the
note
family,
to end
and
it
rest
on,
in
but
peace,
yeah,
brother.
rest in peace. That is, I'm sorry to hear that. So, but that wraps up this long TWAB here, fellas. We got a long one today.
Seriously.
Any final notes that you'd like to touch up on?
You got anything, Matt?
Nah.
I guess for me, it's just, again, waiting to see what Witch Queen's gonna look like when it's out. So,
I'm
here's
very
hoping.
excited. So, like, from everything I've seen, I mean, you guys know I'm already always super excited for Destiny 2 anyways, but like just with the changes and everything and all this stuff coming to PvE, I'm just super excited.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've tempered expectations here, and I'm not really ecstatic for anything going forward. I'm just kind of just waiting to see what it's going to look like once it's out. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that will wrap it up then. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out and watching. Hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the TWAB. Is TWAB 21, and have yourselves an absolutely wonderful day. And as always, make sure you guys stay hydrated, as hydration is key.
be 3 times in peace.
Take it easy.
I actually forgot to do the whole don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and make sure to hit that follow, to subscribe, and maybe even leave a comment down below. Stay hydrated.